So with that, I'm going to get started. Just introducing myself real quickly. My name is David Tong from the TGR Foundation, a Tiger Woods charity. We welcome everyone today to our digital workshop on keeping students engaged during distance learning. We're excited to have you all join us virtually. And before I hand it off to our amazing facilitators, I want to share real briefly about the TGR Foundation and who we are. And we've been around for over 24 years, developing programs for educators, students, and their communities to help unlock student potential and really empower them to pursue their passions through education. You can find the collection of our free resources that we've developed in the last few weeks and other information on our programs at tgrfoundation.org. You'll find a variety of digital resources that are available for free for educators as well as parents and communities as well. You also see on your screens about TGR EDU Create, which is our professional learning program that has developed this digital workshop today. And with that, I'd like to hand it off to our other co-facilitators and Jess.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. It's so awesome and amazing to see everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces, but I also see a lot of new faces. So thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jessica Kessler. I am a professional development facilitator with the TGR Foundation, and I am based in Washington, D.C. I am going to pass the baton to my lovely co-host so she can introduce herself.
Thanks, Jess. My name is Holly Denard. I'm also a professional development facilitator at TGR Foundation. I'm in Anaheim, California. I'm super excited today. I am just loving seeing new faces and familiar faces. It's great to have everybody here. How's everybody doing? Can everyone put a, share with us how you're doing? There's a reaction section. Give a high five. We're doing well. So good to see everybody. All right, Jess.
Awesome. So again, thank you everybody for coming. We're so excited to dive into today's topic. But first, I'm just going to review our norms as we always do. So the first is David has placed everyone on mute just so that we don't get a lot of background noise. We know you have your families at home or pets or dogs or maybe just the radio. So we're just putting everybody on mute. Feel free to at any time place your comments or feedback in the chat box or raise your hand if you would love to speak out loud, and we'll make sure you get unmuted so you can share with us. Secondly, if you do not have your camera on, we would love to see your face. I have been stuck in the house for forever. And even though I get to see my team every day, I do not get the chance to see a lot of other faces. So I would love to see you. Please send me some smiles and your energy by turning your camera on if you're able to. And lastly, again, we love collaboration. If you've been to any of our digital workshops in the past, you know we love to collaborate. We love to hear your thoughts and opinions. We honor everybody's mindset here and everything that you guys have to offer. So if there's anything that you want to add into any of these conversations, feel free to share them in the chat box, raise your hand, unmute yourself, and especially when we get into groups, just have a good time and build that fellowship and communion with one another. So as we just said our norms, I would also like to point out, as we're talking about digital learning and distance learning, that setting norms is always a great way to start. So if you have not set norms with your kiddos, it might be a great opportunity for you to do so, just so that everybody's on the same page and you guys can really start strong or even continue strong or finish strong as you guys are going into distance learning. So for our agenda, we are going to be talking about types of engagement. If you've been to one of our past workshops or even one of our one-day workshops, then you might have heard us talk about types of engagement before, but we want to bring that back into the spotlight because now types of engagement look a little different, right? We're not in front of our kids anymore to be able to gauge their engagement like we would traditionally. So now we want to see how we can take those traditional types of engagement and really see how we can observe them in this distant learning environment. And then Holly is really going to take it over by giving us an example of this activity. We're going to do some collaboration together, and then she's going to provide us with a framework that we can all use as we're thinking about lessons in this new distance learning environments that we have. Okay. So that being said, types of engagement. If you have been with us before, you've heard that there are actually 3 types of engagement. There's behavioral, emotional, and cognitive. And the research done by Douglas Fisher, as well as his other research partners, share with us that students learn in the optimal environment when all three types of engagement are present. So David is actually going to put up a poll in a few seconds. He's working hard in the background on the digital side. And he's going to put up a poll that basically asks you to identify which type of engagement is being defined in a short, small poll. So you'll see 3 questions there, and you'll just click which one you believe is the correct definition. As we're taking this poll, if you've seen these types of engagement before, if you have had issues with engagement as you've transitioned into distance learning, I would love to see some comments in the chat box about your experience with engagement thus far. Have you seen any issues with engagement? Have your kids been super receptive? Are there things that you are doing in your environment to really encourage engagement, whether it's behaviorally, emotionally, or cognitively? And I'm already starting to see a lot of responses. You guys are pretty smart. I can see all of the results that are coming in, and we'll share them with you as soon as we get some more responses in. But as we're waiting for those responses, again, is there anyone who has anything that they would love to share in the chat box? How has it been to gauge students emotionally? Thinking about, are students actually coming on? Are they doing their assignments? Are they emotionally present with you? How have you been responding to engagement? Awesome, results are coming in. We'll wait about 5 more seconds. Oh, thanks, Gabriel. You said you're trying to communicate in ways other than LMS. What's LMS? I'm not keen on that term. How do you know what LMS is?
No, I was looking at that as well, Jess.
Okay, so please, okay. Learning management system. Okay, thanks, Kathy, for letting us know.
Thanks for teaching us something.
Exactly. So looking for other ways to communicate, that's super important. David, at this point, if you want to share our results, been using Google Hangouts. That has been a popular one, so I highly recommend that one. Open to digital class, you want to start some emotional engagement. Great. So I'm hoping that today you get some ideas for how to gauge emotional engagement and continue to do that. Ooh, I love morning meetings. That's awesome. So in the chat box, there's a lot of things going on, but let's take a look at these definitions really quickly. So 1, students' comfort level, definitely emotional engagement. I love it. I know a lot of people often mistake it for behavioral or cognitive because it's about academic success, but it's definitely emotional. Students participate in class, definitely behavioral. Thank you so much. And meeting those rigorous expectations, definitely cognitive. Love that. So as we stop sharing this poll, I'm going to move forward and just give you that definition on one screen so that everyone can see it. But you guys basically hit the nail on the head, right? So behavioral engagement is basically defined as what we can see. How can you see your students participating? And again, you're not in your normal classrooms anymore, so it might be hard to see what they're doing. So it really causes us to think about how we are observing what students are doing. That emotional engagement is about the comfort level of your students. Are they comfortable with you? Are they comfortable with their peers? And now that you're not in the same classroom together, how do you build those relationships and those connections that really allow you to see their comfortability? And then cognitive engagement, are students looking for more? So I know students think they are on the best break in life because they don't have to walk into a classroom, they don't have to wear their uniforms or tuck their shirts in right now. But that cognitive engagement is super important because students are naturally curious, they are naturally inquisitive, and we want to make sure that we are pushing students and continue to provide them with rigorous content. So with that being said, we see a lot of difference in our traditional classroom style to this new digital learning. There's still a lot of overlap, but there's definitely still some opportunities where we could push ourselves as educators to really transform our engagement to this digital context. So John and or David will be posting a link up. John just did it right there. Posting a link to a PDF file that has this slide kind of outlined for you so that you guys can use it for the rest of this workshop. But this basically is just a representation of what this will look like traditionally and what this could look like if we're looking at a more digital lens. So for that behavioral engagement, we're so used to our students walking in a straight line, right? Are they following school rules? Are they showing up to class on time? Well, that's not the case anymore, right? That's a little bit different. We still want them to show up on time if you're using Zoom or something like that. But this could also look like, are they responding to your emails? If you're just emailing back and forth, or that's your main mode of communication, are they responding? If they're not responding, they're not behaviorally engaged. Are they posting their assignments? Are they completing their tasks? I know this is a struggle for a lot of educators right now. And I know there's a lot of different conversations we can have about how to get them in there, but one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing is setting them up for success. What opportunities are we giving them to show us this behavioral engagement? For emotional engagement, if you're using things like Zoom or Google Classroom, are you allowing students to respond to each other? Right? I know it feels awkward because you're the teacher and you're behind the screen and you feel like you're just outpouring all this information, but students still need to create those emotional bonds with their peers. So are you allowing them to comment to each other? In Google Classroom, you can set up a question or a post and allow them to go back and forth with each other and just really expound on it. Are they able to come off of mute in Zoom and just have a discussion, right? And continue to build that classroom environment. In your email chains, can you post a question and just have students respond, assign them to a specific person they need to respond to? And I know we're loving Flipgrid right now. I know we're loving some of our other tools that allow students to engage with each other, but those are definitely some opportunities for us to really gauge their emotional engagement. It's super important, especially during this time of isolation, that not only do kids feel connected with us, but they feel connected with each other as well. And lastly, with cognitive engagement, lastly, with cognitive engagement, are students desiring challenges, and are we giving them challenges? I know it's really easy to say, you know, watch this video, do this packet, do this worksheet, because we're not right there with them. But they still want to have those challenging things. It's going to keep their minds moving. We don't want to see these babies next year and say, oh my gosh, we got to teach them everything all over again because they lost it. We want to keep them going. We want to keep them on track. We want to keep it rigorous. And you can really gauge this about, are they managing their time? Are they self-regulating? Have we taught them to self-regulate? Have we taught them how to use the Pomodoro technique? If you want to hear about more about that, come to office hours, where they spend 25 minutes working on a task and then 25 minutes working on the next task. Have they learned those strategies, and have we helped and support them learning those strategies now that we're in a distance learning environment? So I'm going to stop right there. There's a lot of things we can say on these types of engagement. But I want us to have time to go into Holly's examples and all those other things and really think about, how are we presenting our students with the opportunity to show their engagement? I know during this time it can be more challenging, but it is not impossible at all. And by setting students up for success in this way, we can continue to give them that optimal learning experience, just as if they were in our classrooms, and even more so because now they have all these tools at their expense that they can use at any given time. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Holly, and she's going to walk us through those examples, and then she's going to give us those tools and the resources to be able to do that. And just throwing it out there as a commercial, at the end of this workshop, we go straight into Create Café. So if you have any questions, and I'm seeing some stuff in the comments that I'll respond to, please, please, please bring it to office hours and Create Café. We would love to see you there to continue this conversation too. And turn it over to you, Holly.
All right, thanks, Jess. What a way to start us off and reminding us that these types of engagement, these three types of engagement, are critically important in this distance learning environment. So now we're going to kind of segue off into how do we take a traditional lesson that we've been doing in our classrooms and move it into this distance learning environment and using digital tools. So with keeping in mind our types of engagement, I want to now also point out we're going to be using what's called the 5E instructional model to walk us through how to transition from traditional to digital. So the 5E instructional model, some of you might be already very, very familiar with it, and others it might be quite new. But we're choosing to use this instructional model because it lends itself towards inquiry, which is really important in today's 21st century and building those skills. It also allows the opportunity for these types of engagement to be built into it. So we found that this particular instructional model can be very, very powerful during these times. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of set the stage in saying that a lot of us are having these challenges, but I want us to all take a deep breath as we try to take our in-classroom lessons into a digital world or distance learning world, because what you've been doing in your classroom is there's very little that we will probably have to do to transfer it over to a distance learning environment. So don't stress. We're going to all do this together. I also want to keep in mind our standards. So we all have those standards that we know we have to walk our students through. So keep those standards in mind as you choose the lessons that you're transferring over into a distance learning environment. All right, so we're gonna start with a lesson that we at the Learning Lab have done in an after-school program in one of our chemistry classes, and it's called Rock Candy Crystals. And so what we're gonna do is walk through today. You guys are gonna be very much engaged in this process with us, but we're gonna use this particular lesson to go through that 5E model and look at how we can change each step or each component into a digital environment, okay? So this one, this particular lesson, we've put up on our site, and you'll see it in our YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't seen our YouTube channel, I want to invite you at this point in time to do that. As well as I'm using a digital tool called Edpuzzle. So some of you have used Edpuzzle in the past. Please give us a shout out if you have. But if you haven't, we also have a tutorial on that YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel, sorry, that will walk you through how to use Edpuzzle. So we're going to start with a very, very short clip of this STEM Unplugged lesson that we've done. And we're going to use this as an engage. At the end, you're going to see how you can use Edpuzzle to engage your students by asking them a question about what they just saw. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to go ahead and play this quick, about 8-9 minute clip. All right, so it's super short, but hopefully you guys are intrigued about how you can use this particular video like this to help segue into the rest of your lesson. So if you can see on the screen, there's an open-ended question that I have posed for you using the Edpuzzle video as an engage. How can we facilitate the explore section of this lesson with your students in a distance learning environment? So this is just one example of how you can have students respond to you using this Edpuzzle format and digital tool. All right, so now we're gonna actually get you guys working together, and we're gonna use what's called the breakout groups in a second to have you all work with 2 or 3 other people to help us look at, if we are using this Rock Candy Crystal lesson, how can we engage our students in the explore section of this 5E model? So just as a reminder, the explore section of this 5E instructional model is really a way for students to investigate a particular concept. So it could be through hands-on activities, it could be a collaboration, or even students doing research. So we want to have you all work together in these small breakout rooms, and you're going to be given Google Slides to help you generate and brainstorm ideas within your team, your group, and present them on the Google slide so that we can share them out with one another. Okay, so how this is going to work, David's going to, in a second, put everybody into their breakout groups. We want you guys to keep your cameras on and unmute yourselves so that you can introduce yourself to your team, where you're from, what you teach, or what grade level that you teach. Okay, so please share out first, and when you get into your breakout room, a little bit about yourself. This is very interactive. We want you guys to get out of this. So we're going towards this format. So you'll have about 15 minutes in your small group to come up with your ideas on this rock candy crystal lesson, how we might take students from that engage to now walk them through the explore. So you're going to generate ideas. You can use images as well as text on that Google slide. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to David here, where he's going to facilitate us breaking up into our breakout groups. Wow, welcome back, everyone. We're looking at some of your ideas and thoughts, and all of them are awesome, extremely creative, and super excited. I wish we could share every single one of them, but we went ahead and looked at a few. So we chose a couple of groups, and they're aware. They're going to be sharing out their ideas that they put down on their Google Slides so that we all can see those. So I'm going to start with group two. Group two, would somebody from your group be oh so kind as share out with us what you came up with?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Christian. And so for our group, we first started talking about giving students open-ended questions to kind of think about, or maybe even answer out loud or write down. And so some of the open-ended questions we came up with were maybe find examples of crystallization in nature, right? Think about how this activity connects to things that they've seen or read about. How, if you were to do this experiment again, how would you change it? Or maybe even, did you adjust anything along the way? Because obviously everybody has different things at home, so they might need to adjust how they do the activity. And if they could share that out loud or think about that, that'd be great too. And we wanted to give students a chance to share their thoughts, so like Google Polls or maybe like a hangout to talk about it and discuss. Share photos of their project, and based off those photos, discuss why they might be different, what students did differently amongst each other, and just giving them the ability to comment and see other peers' work.
Awesome ideas. I really like that you kept those types of engagement in the back of your mind, allowing students to have a place where they can share their thoughts. So that's really awesome. Thanks for keeping that engagement in as a part of the explore section of this lesson. So kudos, snaps, everybody. All right, awesome. So we have one other group that we'd like to highlight as well. It's group three. So somebody from group three, would you like to share out your ideas?
So I'm going to explain for group three. My name is Desiree Dominguez. The first thing we did was online measurement tools, and then to make observations through a chat as the days go on. So first day, make your observations. Second day, make your observations. Third day, make your observations, and so on. And then once you do that, also comment and read on others' observations. So read what they're looking at or what they see and comment on it. Maybe compare yours to theirs or just mention something. Take a picture every day to show the difference of how it grows, or maybe there is no change. At the beginning, make predictions what you think it's going to end up maybe by the second day or third day. If you chose to use food coloring, state why you chose that color. Maybe it was the only color you had, or if it's your favorite color. If it actually turned the color you thought it was going to turn. And then discuss observations if you tasted it. smelling it, touching it, just things to get everyone talking and discussing.
Awesome, Desi. These are some great ideas. I love, love, love this taste, smell, touch. I love that addition to this lesson. It will, I think, again, engage just the students and have those emotional and behavioral and even cognitive connections with what they're doing. So great job, everybody. We'd like to offer it up to, we only have time to show 2 different groups, actual slides, but if anybody in the other groups want to share out something that you really found interesting, you want to share what you guys talked about in your own groups in the chat box, we'd love to continue looking at those ideas as well. But for the sake of time, we're going to move on into looking at a template or a way that we can bring in those last 3 components to that 5E instructional model. All right, so we use that quick little video at the beginning as the engage. You all came up with some awesome ways in which you could address the explore component of a 5E instructional model, but there's 3 last components that are critically important as well. So we're going to be looking at that explain, elaborate, and evaluate. So just to look at those 3 components individually, the explain portion of the 5E model is really an opportunity for students to communicate what they have learned, to share out their learning. Okay, so the elaborate then takes that and it dives deeper. It allows students to actually apply their learning and apply their knowledge. So this could be a really great opportunity for a student-driven environment. How are they going to elaborate? What are those things that they want to dive deeper into? And practice and draw their own conclusions on the particular content of the lesson. And last but not least is the evaluate. Okay, so this is not just an opportunity for the teacher to evaluate students' learning and assess that, but it's also an opportunity for students to assess their own learning. Okay, what did they learn and what do they want to know more about? So again, tapping into those types of engagement, getting into that cognitive engagement where students are really asking themselves and diving deeper into their own learning. All right, so what we want you guys to do now is to help us out and share out maybe some ideas or thoughts in the chat box of what you think the explain, the elaborate, and evaluate of this rock candy crystal lesson could look like. What are some digital tools maybe that you could use to help students explain their learning in this rock candy crystal lesson? What are ways they can elaborate, and what ways can you formally assess students and have them assess their own learning? So I would like to invite you guys right now to share out any ideas you have in the chat box. We will be saving the chat box comments for everyone to have an opportunity to look at those at the end of the workshop today. So go ahead, share out any ideas for those other 3 components. All right. Flipgrid, Seesaw, I see some great ideas coming in right there. Right, how you made the crystals.
Like a set of procedures.
Exactly, I really like that.
Because they're bringing in those extra layers to the explorative process of having students write out procedures, or even thinking about, for our math folks out there, right, what proportions, right, of water to sugar or other substances are you looking at? Your proportions of solute to solvent for all the chemistry people out there. I just feel like there's so many avenues that you can go, and it really will help build that connection back to the classroom using such an awesome idea as this. So I love it.
Yeah, so I see too here, Jess, using Google Slides to continue having students be able to explain their learning. I love that TikTok video. I
love TikTok right now. If I see another TikTok video, I'm going to laugh because I love watching them too. I'll never do one, but I love watching them. So I know they would love making them.
That's a really awesome idea. Oh, using, to elaborate, maybe experimenting with water temperatures. Does the type of color have any effect on anything? That's a great idea in the chat box.
That's an awesome idea. And I think, Holly, for all of our STEM Unplugged activities, because we had this one, we had another one that came out on Wednesday. I mean, there are going to be some more coming out. I just think they're such great platforms because they do help you build those emotional connections to get kids cognitively and emotionally engaged. When they like what they're doing or they find it interesting, guess what? They're going to want to talk to you about it. They're going to want to talk to their friends about it. They're going to want to do more. Oh, can we have this? Can we do that? Can I ask my mom if we could do this? Like these STEM Unplugged videos are such a great foundation for getting that engagement even to the next level, whether we're in the classroom or not in the classroom. So please keep an eye out for more of those STEM Unplugged videos. They're on our YouTube channel, but I feel like they're just such a great way to continue to increase that level of engagement in every opportunity that we have.
Yeah, thanks, Jess, for reminding me to communicate that that was only a short snippet of that STEM Unplugged video. Christian, one of our instructors, produced that video. It's really wonderful, so I invite you guys to go onto YouTube. I'm also looking at a few last comments here. For high school students, you could choose research articles, maybe even do a Socratic seminar or other discussion methods using Google Hangouts. So these are all fantastic ideas. Again, this is all going to be something that you can access afterwards. Ooh, one last one, make 3 rock candies that came out the same and explain how they were able to maintain this consistency. So there's a lot of different levels. So this particular lesson could really be adjusted to many different grades. So please keep that in mind when you're doing planning for your lessons. But we want to now move on. We're ending our time here today. But the template here, it's attached to the first template on 3 types of engagement that Jess presented earlier in the workshop. This one with the 5 E's and how you can transition to an in-class versus a distance learning is on that PDF as well. So this is just something or a way to plan out your own lessons and transition them from into a distance learning environment.
And
so
now, I could add quickly, guys, there's a lot of comments still coming up in the chat. You can save your chat. So if you don't want to lose these comments, there is a way you can go in your chat, click on the 3 dots for more and click save chat. It'll save it as a file that you can access later so you don't lose these great ideas from all of your peers. And again, come into office hours, Create Cafe later. We'd love to talk more about these awesome ideas, guys.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks everybody. We're going to move on to our closing here. We want, again, to stay connected with you. So we're going to have our virtual office hours and our Create Cafe immediately, well, following at 12:30. So please hang on, stay with us for our virtual office hours. It's a very informal platform where you all are going to be able to share out and collaborate any ideas that you've heard today on this workshop or other things that you're working on personally. The Create team will be available to chat with you guys in a very informal way. Also want to direct you to our digital workshops on our YouTube channel under TGR Foundation. Please check out all of our tutorial lessons as well as past digital workshops like this one today. Stay connected with us, educators, on tgrfoundation.org educator community. We'd love to keep having you participate with us in our digital workshops and other platforms that we have. And last but not least, I'm going to direct you to our Explore lessons on tdreduexplore.org. Many other lessons that are free on that site for you to download and get some ideas. So last but not least, we're going to be posting a link in the chat box for you all to complete a survey. Please, please, please fill that out. It really does help us gain more insight into what all your needs are and what you'd like to continue seeing from us. So thank you, you guys, for participating today. It was great to spend this past almost hour with you and all of your energy and ideas. Keep up the great work. Hang in there. Take care of yourself. That's really, really important. Just any last things you want to say?
No, thank you guys so much. It is always great to do these workshops with you guys and just see everyone's face and make sure that we're all sharing resources. Feel free to stay after. I would love to continue to talk with people that I haven't seen in a while or new people that I haven't met yet. We would love to just connect with you on in our Create Cafe. So thank you for coming.